So for my topic, I am going to tell you about intermittent explosive disorder. And since my cat would not let me do this video without being in my lap, I am going to use that as a comparison. Intermittent explosive disorder can start at a young age. It's usually not diagnosed until later in life, whenever they're teenagers. But it can start as young as they're 9. It comes in the form of frequent temper tantrums, which cats have been known to throw. They don't get their way. They like to strike back out at you. It's whenever they get frustrated really easy. They just don't get their way. Something happens. It can end up causing them to be aggressively violent, which can lead to them harming someone, which is what cats do all the time. When they don't get their way, they like to strike back at you with their little claws. It's not fun. They usually have a low tolerance for frustrating situations, that little small things that wouldn't make sense, like accidentally getting hit by something, a toy, or someone telling them no, can cause them to throw a fit and become really violent. It's just usually in these situations, the violence is not necessary, it's not called for, which is what happens most of the time with cats. Their violence is not called for, but they still do it anyway. It's not something they can control. It's just who they are and how they are. By the way, this is Carl. He's my little rescue. He can be very violent over small things. You walk across the room, he doesn't like it, he'll come after you. It's just how things are. Some of the people that are likely to be diagnosed are those that have had brain injuries whenever they were younger, being male. It's usually typically males that are diagnosed with this disorder. Let's see what. It's also if they have a history of child abuse at home, or if there's been cases of violent behavior at home, then witnessing it from their siblings or their parents, which in a litter of cats or litter of kittens, there's always one cat that's the alpha, and they learn by watching them, so it can be a learned behavior. Something you need to watch out for always. Whenever they're younger, watch and see what's going on in their home life. Okay, he's leaving. Alright, some of the statistics of this disorder are 7.3% of adults in the United States are affected by this, which doesn't seem like it would be a lot. That's about roughly from 11 to 16 million people every year. And what's really bad about this is that 68% of them have engaged in a direct aggression, which could be in the form of them threatening to hurt someone or actually physically harming somebody, which it's still not something that they can control, but it still happens. But thankfully it's only 21% of that have actually physically hurt somebody, not the majority of them, which I guess the numbers could be lower, but it still happens. It's something they need to watch out for. To get treatment, it's usually treated with cognitive behavioral therapy, and usually it's paired with medications. The family's always involved with therapy to help them all cope with this disorder. They can learn how to act in social situations to be able to raise their tolerance for frustrating situations. But it's only if the person wants to get help. They have to reach out for it, and they have to want to help themselves for this disorder to get better. But overall, it can be very manageable for someone to live with this condition.